long time no see. As those of you that watch the podcast know, at the end of last season, I actually got COVID like right after my last ride. So I missed out on a couple weeks of kind of being able to wrap things up. Got the last couple videos out, but haven't really had time to clean the sleds up yet. It's been a really slow start to summer. I'll do my little Q&A as well. Just kind of go over some things I've seen in the comments and just kind of give you guys a little up-to-date status on the channel and what's going to be happening next season, and kind of how last season ended up finishing out. Sleds are very, very dirty. My last ride with Kevin, mine was still a little bit dirty, but I was able to kind of clean it from the ride with Dad. Obviously still, you know, gonna have to get it cleaned up. I don't go too crazy with the spring clean, just kind of like to get all the grime off of everything. That way it's not kind of sitting on all the metal parts all summer. The riot's definitely much dirtier. Dad and I took my second to last ride of the season, and unfortunately every time we went to go somewhere for lunch, we would get there and they were closed, and you know, taking all those little road access points end up being kind of sloppy, salty mess. So all right, so like I said, I was just gonna kind of do a quick cleanup of the sleds and kind of go over some stuff with you guys. The season ended super abruptly, but I figured I would kind of touch base. I did order a new sled. I talked about it on a podcast. I'm not going to tell you guys on here. On the same note, I sold the Riot to my dad, so I've enjoyed the Procross a lot. The only other thing I really wanted to do was possibly try a 4-stroke turbo. That really just wasn't something I wanted to do with the other options on the market coming from Polaris, Skidoo, and Lynx. So I kind of figured Dad loves the Procross. It's the sled that he wants to be riding. He wants to stay on that. He wasn't ready for a turbo yet, so sold the Procross to him. This is the only sled I own right now. I'm trying to kind of decide what I want to do next season. Part of me would like to make a couple videos with the Renegade and the... Ooh, can't say that. Can't say that. Part of me would like to make a couple videos with this sled and my new sled, maybe compare them a little bit, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Sled prices are really good right now. I don't really want to like miss that as far as selling the sled used, so I'll have to kind of see how the market's doing at that point, and just kind of see how I'm feeling in general. The biggest thing I've noticed, and kind of the reason that I didn't see the point in owning two sleds, so to speak, anymore, I don't ride the second sled. So I found, you know, with the Riot, even the year it was brand new, I was just a little bit more drawn to the Assault. It was just kind of what I preferred. So I wasn't riding the Riot a lot. And then, you know, I got a new sled in the Renegade, so I wanted to be on the new sled, and I really enjoyed this sled. So yet again, I spent a ton of time on this sled. I got some good rides in, did some reviews, you know, more time on the Riot, but I've just kind of noticed that with the sleds I own right now, it doesn't make a ton of sense to own two sleds. Maybe if they were in different enough segments, it could be something that I possibly do again down the road. Or, you know, like I said, who knows what I'm going to do with this sled and the new sled next year. But as far as owning the Procross Riot, at this point, it's Dad's. So it's up to him when he upgrades it. Who knows, it might be on the channel for a long period of time, or he might find a sled in the fall that he wants and he could upgrade as well. So we'll just kind of see how that plays out. I've also had a couple comments in general of people saying I must not have enjoyed the Renegade because my videos weren't like up to my level of excitement that they normally were. I had probably one of the most fun seasons I've had in years. So if not like one of the best I've ever had. I had a ton going on behind the scenes. I figure I'm just going to kind of touch on it in this video. It's kind of the more hardcore viewer that watches these cleanup videos at the end of the season. So I'll just kind of like let you guys in on what went down. So as the season started, you know, I had the old sled sold. We picked the new trailer up. We were just excited for everything to start. My grandfather moved in with my dad, and he unfortunately, right as the season was starting, it was a super slow start anyway. We didn't even have snow until basically the start of January. But he caught COVID from his in-house nurse, and he unfortunately did end up passing away from it. So there was a whole couple week period where like that was all that was going on in my life. There was also a very similar type of thing that happened in my girlfriend's life, and that was literally 1 week after. So basically all of January was spent in a very tough fashion, being there for family. My dad also had COVID, as you guys know, and we were trying to get him through it, get him food, make sure, you know, he was doing as well as he could, along with all the other things that had to happen with my grandfather being gone and kind of planning, you know, his funeral and everything like that. Around the same time, it turned out my job was planning to relocate our building from basically 15 minutes away from where I live to almost an hour. There was no real guarantee if it was going to stick around, and it was definitely a big change. I had been there for 5.5 years, and I was kind of staring down the barrel of not having a job. So I kind of had to pick myself up at that point again, and I started applying, and I'm happy to say that I got a new job right as the season was ending. So that worked out great. It was a step up as far as career paths go, and it worked out really well, but definitely a scary time from probably January until the end of February, where I really didn't know if I was gonna have a job, and yeah, it was definitely something weighing on my mind as well. Then, as a lot of you guys know from the podcast, right at the end of the season, I caught COVID myself. Have no clue where I got it. Managed to bring my dad food and medicine and all that stuff while he had it, and not catch it myself. But somehow, right at the end of the season, I got it. Definitely kicked my butt. I wasn't one of those people that was lucky enough to really not feel it. I felt like absolute crap for like probably 7 days, and not too hot for 10 total. So that was definitely rough too. I'm not like telling you guys this stuff so that you, for like sympathy or anything like that, but you know I have a really like great base of followers that I feel like you guys are owed at least knowing kind of what was going on behind the scenes, because I know for myself, looking at my content this year, it was good, and I made some really great videos. I tried some new things, and some stuff I'm super proud of, and I'm proud of how the season still turned out with everything that was going on behind the scenes. But I know from the way I was filming that I wasn't quite there as much as I normally am, and I know some of you guys noticed that because I saw it in the comments. It didn't have to do with the sleds, it didn't have to do with not liking YouTube, it didn't have to do with any of that stuff. I just had an absolutely insane life going on behind the scenes as far as outside of snowmobiling went. I didn't want to put it in the videos during the season, and kind of you know, it doesn't always go over right with the people that might just click on your video when it's in the suggested and that type of thing. But, you know, overall I had an amazing season, like I said. My buddy Kevin picked up a sled, still got out there with Dad a lot. We probably only put about 600 miles on the Riot. I put 915 miles on this sled. I really wanted to get 1,000, but it just didn't work out. I had a lot of fun trying this new sled out. Like, I know it seems odd. I still think the Polaris Assault was one of the most fun sleds I've ever owned, and I'll probably say that until something better comes along. But this sled, as far as like performance went, was a very cool experience. With the 1.75 track, when you got off trail, you could still play on it, but on trail, like, the performance is nuts. I don't necessarily know that I needed that type of performance, because it kind of just increased my gap to the people behind me. But it was really cool to experience in the sense that engineering, you know, with coupled skids and all the different designs as far as like the longer front arm and the rear suspension, and the wider and taller front suspension on the XRS, not to mention their shocks, everything. So cool to try all that stuff out, and really made it fun. And to customize this sled to the level I did, you know, super stoked that Deviant Ink worked with me. Got to try the adjustable brake lever. I got to finally use some link accessories because this is a ski product. Kind of tried different setups as far as I put a 7.5-inch shaper on this ski, something I haven't done in a long time because, you know, with C&As, 6 is all I need. But as far as actual snowmobiling went, honestly, one of the most fun seasons I've had in a long time. My buddy Kevin was up there almost every weekend with me. I did so many overnights this year. Most seasons I get like 1 or 2 in, and I did way more than ever. You guys saw the vlog when we rented that cabin and we had some friends up. I was able to kind of bring some new guys out to snowmobile and kind of like introduce them to snowmobiling when they hadn't ridden it a long time. It's one of those things that I think we all talk about in the sport. It's almost sometimes the best part about snowmobiling is who you share it with, and to be able to share it with so many people this season. I had all the awesome experiences with Gary from Mud Brats and Rich on the podcast. You know, got to meet guys like, you know, Jesse James. I got to meet Pacey Boy. We've talked a little bit in person, but to be able to sit on the podcast together and have like a full conversation was awesome. I mean, Blair Morgan, Dan Adams, you know, so many awesome people, and that was definitely
a new thing to have the podcasts that kept me busy and have my own content keep me busy at the same time. It was a lot of balancing, but it made the season super fun, and it made me feel more involved in snowmobiling than ever. So yeah, that's just kind of like an overall wrap up of the season. Not my typical like full-on Q&A, but I just figured I would kind of let the people that watch a lot know what was going on behind the scenes. I don't want to leave you guys like super left out. I'm looking forward to next season. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure what the sled lineup's going to look like next year, but I do have a new one coming, and we'll see like what else goes on as far as more of this sled than anything. So I appreciate you guys watching like always, and we'll see you next season.